Welcome to another music video. Back to 1989. I did a lot of albums from this year, way back a couple of years ago, and I'm going to get into another one today. And the one I'm going to choose is by the band the Neville Brothers. This album was released in '89. It's called Yellow Moon. Now, of course, Neville Brothers are synonymous with the city of New Orleans, the Crescent City. And these suns shine brightly with a mixture of soul, jazz, rhythm and blues, bio funk, and down tempo jazz funk. It's delivered by the four brothers. Let's go through them. On vocals, Aaron Neville, possibly the greatest soul singer of my generation. Keyboardist Art is very impacted on this album. And then we've got Charles on saxophone, and Cyril turns up on percussion. On this album, it's augmented by Willie Green on drums and Tony Hall on bass, and Brian Stoltz on guitar. Sorry, I got that wrong. Brian Stoltz. There will be a slide with details, so don't worry if you didn't catch it all. Anyway, this album was a bold attempt for pop stardom with the help of one Daniel Lanois on production. Yeah, the same guy who just worked with U2. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. This absolute gem, Yellow Moon, by the Neville Brothers. Okay, so what have we got here? Well, the songs are very much a mix of original compositions and covers. We've got Sam Cooke's wonderful A Change Is Gonna Come, a pledge that racism in the world, specifically in America, is slowly receding with the help of education and law changing. There are two Dylan classics, The Ballad of Hollis Brown, a tale of a desperate man's actions towards himself and his family, and of course, A God on Our Side. Inspirational vocals by Aaron. The song is a moving testament to the follies of war and how the religious right in America used this religious slogan to brainwash the population into believing that God is always on the side of white America. So, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, beware. And then another standard moment with the brothers version of the AP Carter standard, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And of course, the brothers trade verses. Guest on this album and a major contributor is one Brian Eno, who creates an atmosphere of shimmering synthesizers. It's very stark and it's very emotional. And the 12-track album is awash with poignant tales amidst the amalgam of music styles that are part of New Orleans culture. So let's get on to the track listing now. So, to be reminded, for me, the highlight of this album is and always will be Aaron Neville's singing. Who could ever forget Tell It Like It Is, possibly one of my favourite singles of all time. But let's not forget the impact of Lanois, who maximises the drama, and the songs are worth the risk. The Nevilles let the funky rhythms flow. Yellow Moon is an adventurous stretch for a band that can boogie in its sleep. And the track Healing Chant won Best Pop Instrumental Performance at the 1989 Grammy Awards. And of course, that is a significant event, I think, in their history. Okay, so we're going to now give a little dip into the track listing. I'll go through each song, make a little bit of a contribution to it. And so let's get on to it. The tracks. So the opening cut on this is My Blood. and it's written by Cyril Neville, Darrell Johnson, Willie Green, and Charles Moore. Uh, Percussion leads into the Afro beat, and there are references to Haiti in the lyric on this intro. And then we move on to track two, which is the title track. Here, Aaron Neville is responsible for the writing, and Aaron's vocals raise the funk a few notches up. Probably the greatest male song ever, as I mentioned before. This song epitomizes the word shuffle with the keys and horns built together like a pair of twins. And what else? That beat. So next up is track three, which is Fire and Brimstone, written by Link Ra, and this really drives home the feeling of that big easy horns. They come to the fore fully on this. Then track four, Sam Cooke's song, A Change Is Gonna Come. It's as good as the original as far as I'm concerned, with Aaron really pulling out all the stops. The emotional pain of the history is in spades here, and I absolutely adore it. So to track five, Sister Rosa. Of course, this is a song about the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks, who invigorated the struggle for racial equality when she refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama. Or is it Mississippi? I'm not too sure of my geography in America. Alabama it was. Park's arrest on December the 1st, 1955, launched the Montgomery bus boycott by 17,000 black citizens. The music does its service to this cause. It's a celebration of funky rhythm with great harmonies to boot, and well worth the few minutes of your time. And then we get on to track six. This is With God on Our Side, written by Bob Dylan. And Aaron delivers a sermon with his gospel sound. The poignant lyric by Dylan posing the question, why does the US think God is on their side? As epitomized by presidents who finish their speech with that galling phrase, God bless America, as if they are the only country on the planet. Dylan poses this question and asks, what are we fighting for? Which is very much a reference to the Vietnam War, which, of course, happened a few decades earlier. A painful lyric for those who lost a loved one in that conflict, particularly. Okay, Wake Up is next. It's an empowerment song, a punchy call to action. The next war will be the final conflict, shares Aaron. And it's pretty poignant for the current state of politics in the United States and its rhetoric towards the huge Russian empire. And great horns on this by Charles throughout, and another five-star song. Follow that up with Voodoo, and electric piano sizzles here with that dainty jazz dab style, and compensates well with the sax, baritone sex. Well, you probably do feel pretty sexy when you're listening to this arrangement of rhythms. Okay, the next song is another Dylan cover, The Ballad of Hollis Brown. It's a really moving song, an awesome piece of work, and I love the acoustic guitar. Or is it a dobro? I ask. Folk blues with soul, man. Poverty brings out the best and the worst in people. And then to track 10, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? This is very much a Southern gospel experience. Just wind up the volume on this classic and sit back and wallow in the unity. Healing Chant follows, written by Aaron Neville, Cyril, Tony Hall, and Brian Stoltz. Very much shared the writing on this album. Very much the sum of the parts, really, type of band is greater than the individuals, and more African tribal rhythms here, with that sax creating a jazz sound that echoes Coltrane and possibly Parker, with persuasive elements that soothes you as you listen. Wonderful, either drunk or sober. And then we move on to Wild Indians, which is the final track on the album. And here we get into disco funk, and it whips up a shake your ass feel. Reminded me a little bit of Pick Up the Pieces by the Scottish soul band Average White Band. Anyway, that's my take on this album. Brief snippets of the tracks. It's a gem of an album. I return to it on a regular basis, and it's certainly one of my top five albums from 1989. Get to listen to it. And sadly neglected band, I feel, the Neville Brothers from New Orleans, and this is their album Yellow Moon, released in 1989.